As the head teacher of the new era of post-90s, I am dedicated to my students. Backslash. The college entrance examination is approaching. Backslash. However, the study committee member of our class fell in love with the gangster who bullied her. Backslash. For his sake, he skipped classes, self-injured, and aborted, and squandered the important time of his senior year. Backslash. He also kept saying that this was redemption. Backslash. As his class teacher, I couldn't bear to see her degenerate, so I told his parents. Backslash. Eventually, he was forced to separate from the bully. Backslash. Later, he was admitted to Tsinghua University and became a well-known female entrepreneur after graduation. Backslash. The first thing I did after returning to China was to take revenge on me, saying that I was not worthy of being a role model, and even bought a truck driver to crush me to death. Backslash. Let me try again, and I decided to respect the fate of others and let her and the bully love each other to death. Backslash. Now, the moment I heard the class ringing ring, I subconsciously tightened my body. Backslash. I was hit by a truck for dozens of meters, and the severe pain of being repeatedly crushed has not disappeared, which scared me so much that I dared not open my eyes. Backslash. But a familiar girl's voice brought me back to reality. Backslash. Teacher Lee, I beg you, don't tell me if my parents are good. We are truly in love. I am already an adult. Backslash. I touched my intact body, and the pain of being crushed by the truck disappeared like a tide. Backslash. Only then did I realize that I was reborn. Backslash. Seeing Tang Ningning's pretty face in front of him, he subconsciously took a step back. Backslash. Tang Ningning stepped forward to support me. Teacher Lee, what's wrong with you? Backslash. I looked at Tang Ningning in front of me and found it incredible. Backslash. The study committee member of the key class of senior high school and the good seedlings of Tsinghua and Peking University that the school focuses on cultivating, actually fell in love with the gangster who bullied her in less than 100 days before the college entrance examination. Backslash. Tang Ningning has excellent grades and outstanding appearance, but is attracted by the gangsters in the tattoo shop outside the school and is often harassed. Backslash. After she clearly rejected the gangster Qin Shi was so angry that she began to bully people. Backslash. They blocked Tang Ningning in the bathroom, took nude photos of her, forced her to smoke, drink, and tattoo her, and took her to KTV to sing. Backslash. After learning that Tang Ningning was bullied in the last life, she immediately called the police, but she signed a letter of understanding at the police station and said righteously that Qin Shi was just in a bad mood and beat her twice. That's it didn't cause any harm to her. Backslash. I thought she signed a letter of understanding because she was afraid of being threatened by those people, but she told me not to meddle in other people's business, so she turned around and fell in love with the bully. Backslash. She began to skip classes for bullies, and the two lingered in major private theaters and hangover in KTV internet cafes. Backslash. After a long time, Qin Shi started beating her when she got tired of playing and forced her to have an abortion. Backslash. In order to stay by his side, Tang Ningning did not hesitate to self-harm. Backslash. I couldn't persuade her, so I could only notify her parents. Backslash. When her parents learned about it, they slapped her several times, and then called the police to send Qin Shi to prison. Backslash. It is said that Qin Shi was causing trouble frequently in prison and was eventually sentenced to death. Backslash. Tang Ningning finally got back on track. After I gave her high-intensity tutoring, she got into Tsinghua University and Peking University as she wished, and became a well-known female entrepreneur after graduation. Backslash. But after she returned to China, the first thing she did was to take revenge on me, destroy my reputation, say that I was not worthy of being a role model, ask my school to fire me, and buy the truck driver to knock me away and then crush me to death. Backslash. Before I died, I heard her say in my ear, if you hadn't informed me back then, Qin Shi would not have died. Why would you meddle in other people's business? I want you to go and bury Qin Shi. Backslash. Only then did I realize that she had resented me for so many years, but I died, at the hands of the most optimistic student I had for 3 years of careful education. Backslash. Teacher Lee, I promise it will not affect my studies. I beg you not to tell my parents, okay? Tang Ningning's voice continued to ring in my ears. Backslash. After coming back to my senses, I looked at her. In this life, I decided not to meddle in other people's business and respect the fate of others. Backslash. Student Tang will take the college entrance examination soon. I hope you can be responsible for your life. After graduation, you can fall in love with you. Backslash. Teacher Lee, it's okay to be admitted to Tsinghua University with my grades. I promise it won't affect my studies. Backslash. Student Tang, just think clearly. The teacher does not object to your pursuit of love, as long as it does not affect your study. Backslash. Teacher Lee, thank you, I promise it will not affect my studies. Backslash. I decided not to interfere anymore, but in the end I became that sinner. Backslash. This time I decided to do what she wanted, no longer meddling in other people's business, and let her and the bully love each other to death. Backslash. As the days passed, Tang Ningning began to skip classes frequently to date Chen Qi, just like her previous life. Backslash. The two skipped class to watch a movie, left couple tattoos on their chests together, and ran wildly in the rain on the streets at midnight, kissing passionately. Backslash. She gradually became immersed in this kind of life and began to wear heavy makeup, like those ignorant little girls. Backslash. Occasionally, some classmates couldn't stand it, and after saying a few words to her, she retorted, "Do you know what love is? Do you understand what genius is? Even if I don't study, I will still be the first in the exam. Even if you work hard, can't surpass me." Backslash. Tang Ningning said it right, she is indeed a rare genius. Backslash. Even if everyone spends the same time and energy on studying, they can only chase her behind. Backslash. I believe that anything can only be rewarded if it takes hard work. Since she is so confident, I will just stand by and see what she can live in this life. Backslash. In the following time, I completely gave up on Tang Ningning and was busy teaching other classmates. Backslash. That night, on my way out of get off work and leaving school, I saw Tang Ningning and a group of gangsters in an alley. Backslash. Tang Ningning was smoking a cigarette, with exaggerated smoky makeup on her face, wearing a short skirt, arms and thighs. All are tattoos. He snuggled in Chen Qi's arms. I shook my head. What he became this time has nothing to do with me. But when I turned around and left, I heard someone shouting for help. I turned around and saw that they were punching and kicking around a girl. I realized that I was a student from the next class after seeing the girl's face. I have seen Tang Ningning's cruelty in my previous life. But she didn't expect that she had also been bullied, but now she has become a bullying person. I walked up and shouted, "Stop. If you don't stop, I will call the police." A group of people looked back at me. Tang Ningning's face turned pale after a moment of brushing. Teacher Lee. Tang Ningning probably didn't expect to meet me. She pulled her mini short dress down with her hands, her expression feeling a little helpless. I walked up to help the beaten girl up and prepared to leave. Tang Ningning called me behind me, "Teacher Lee, you won't tell my parents, right?" I stopped and said, "Of course I won't. What she becomes has nothing to do with me. Your life is yours, just don't regret it in the future, just take care of yourself." After saying that, I helped the beaten girl leave. It started to rain in the sky. Tang Ningning shouted at our blurry backs, "I won't regret it. I will make the decision of my youth. Just don't meddle in other people's business. This time I will also pass the Tsinghua University." Then he realized that Tang Ningning was also reborn. No wonder she can always be confident that she will be admitted to Tsinghua University. In the hospital, the doctor was applying medicine to the girl. My eyes fell on the girl. The girl was very thin and looked malnourished. There was no trace of blood on her face as big as a palm. "Teacher Lee, thank you for saving me." I looked at her pale face and asked, "What's your name?" "Qi Yuan Yuan." "Why did they hit you?" Qi Yuan Yuan stammered a little and finally confessed to me. When I was working part-time in KTV to hold plates, Tang Mingming said that I seduced his boyfriend and then brought a group of people to block me on my way off work. A little question began to appear on my face. "I remember you are a student in the next class, right? The college entrance examination is coming soon. Do you still have time to work part-time? Do your parents know?" Qi Yuan Yuan lowered her head, her expression a little lonely. Since she didn't want to say it, I didn't want to meddle in other people's business. I just said lightly, "Let's go, I'll take you home." Qi Yuan Yuan suddenly stood up and said, "Teacher Lee, I'll just go back by myself. Thank you for your help tonight." I'm so troubled. I was amused by his appearance. It's raining outside, and it's hard to take a taxi nearby. "Are you going to walk back?" Finally, Qi Yuan Yuan got into my car. Behind the car, she put a piece of paper under her feet, looking reserved, as if she was afraid of staining my car. The car finally stopped in an abandoned residential building, and the red circle marking was used at the door downstairs. After following Qi Yuanyuan into the door, I couldn't help but frown. The whole room was damp and dark, the windows were sealed with newspapers, and only a small bed and a desk were placed inside. The whole room was empty, with only the only table full of books. "Do you live here? Do you still live alone?" Qi Yuanyuan nodded, then poured me a cup of hot water in a shabby kettle. Judging from this situation, I guess I had a quarrel with my parents and ran away from home with a temper. So I advised me kindly, "The college entrance examination is coming soon. Don't get angry with your parents at this time. If you have any questions, please tell me. Besides, you live alone, it is not safe. Please communicate with your parents quickly and go home. Don't be so willful. Influence the college entrance examination." Qi Yuanyuan smiled at me. "I understand, Teacher Li, be careful when you go back." Before leaving, I felt a hint of sadness on Qi Yuanyuan's smiling face, but it might be that I was overthinking. I guess I ran away from home because I had a temper. After spending the money, I was embarrassed to bow to my parents and had no choice but to go to work part-time. When she figured it out, she would naturally return to her parents. As soon as get out of class was over the next day, I was attracted by the movements of the class next door. A middle-aged woman stood at the door of the next class and shouted, "Where is Qi Yuanyuan? Get out of here. Don't think that if you run away from home, I won't be able to find you. She is Qi Yuanyuan's mother. It seems that she guessed it right last night and she really ran away from home. Parents will find the school." What this person said was not at all like a sign of loving his daughter. "Don't think that if you change the number, I can't find you. When I find you, I will peel you up." The woman's screams were getting louder and louder. Seeing this, the head teacher of the next class hurriedly came out to find out the situation. "Mom, Qi Yuanyuan, don't be excited first. If you have anything, you can communicate with me first. I am her head teacher." When he heard the head teacher coming, Qi Yuanyuan's mother cried more and more. Why did I give birth to such a heartless thing? Her sister was still waiting in the hospital for her blood to save her life. She actually didn't even save her own sister and ran away from home. When the classmates around him heard this, they immediately began to point fingers. I didn't expect Qi Yuanyuan to look honest usually, but she didn't expect that her heart was so vicious that she would not even save her own sister. "That's right, don't play with her in the future, you're so bad." The more I heard it, the more confused I felt. At this time, Qi Yuanyuan's voice sounded, "Mom, what are you doing?" As soon as she heard Qi Yuanyuan's voice, her mother rushed up and slapped her. "I finally found you. Your sister is still waiting for you to help her in the hospital. Come with me to draw blood." Qi Yuanyuan was still shook her mother's hand. "I won't go. I'll be mock exams soon, I still need to review." Slap! Qi Yuanyuan was slapped by his mother in the face again. Her mother pointed at her and cursed, "Why are you so selfish and so unconscienced? Have you ever thought about your sister who is plagued by illness? Have you ever thought about how painful it is for her to be in the hospital every day? It's just a blood draw, your sister is almost dying, why don't you want to go?" Qi Yuanyuan covered her face and listened to her classmates' fingers and fingers at her, and finally she broke down. "Yes, I don't want to, am I not your daughter? Why do you only have sisters in your eyes?" The air around suddenly became quiet. For Yuanyuan. My mother's eyes were full of shock and grievance. "Why did I give birth to you like this? Do you want to watch your sister die? That's your real sister." Qi Yuanyuan was born with tears in her eyes. "So was I born to serve as a blood bank for my sister? Have you ever cared about me since I was a child, except when I needed to draw blood? For my sister's condition, you don't care whether my body can withstand it from the first few months to the present few days. My only value in your eyes is to prolong my sister's life. Have you ever thought about my feelings?" Upon hearing these words, my face was filled with disbelief. No wonder Qi Yuanyuan looks so thin and looks malnourished. It turns out that it is caused by long-term blood draw. Only then did I realize that her parents gave her high hopes to save her sister at birth. These words did not resonate with her mother, but instead aroused her mother's anger. In his opinion, Qi Yuanyuan should draw blood for her sister. If she doesn't do it, she will be heartless and ignore family affection. Seeing that Qi Yuanyuan was unwilling to go, her mother was angry and rushed forward to take action. I rushed up and protected Qi Yuanyuan. "If you have something to say, don't attack the child." In the end, Qi Yuanyuan was brought to the hospital. I had no class in the afternoon, so I told the head teacher of the next class to take Qi Yuanyuan and his daughter to the hospital on his behalf. When the needle was pierced into Qi Yuanyuan's blood vessel for the third time, I completely changed my face when I looked at the dense needle eyes on his hands. But as a teacher, I cannot interfere in the students' homes. There was no expression on Chi Yuanyuan's face, and she seemed to have been numb to blood draw. While I was shaking my mind, the doctor had already drained 200 cubic centimeters of blood. The doctor said to Chi Yuanyuan's mother, "This child has started to have anemia and can't draw blood anymore. Go back and make more blood-replenishing meals for her, such as pork liver, chicken soup, etc., and try to replenish it as much as possible." There was a smile on Chi Yuanyuan's mother's face and she touched Chi Yuanyuan's head. "Be good, what do you want to eat? Mom will make it for you when you go back." After saying that, he entered the next ward without looking back. I followed her in and saw a pale girl lying on the hospital bed. This was Chi Yuanyuan's sister, Chi Sui Sui. Her mother looked distressed and looked at the girl on the hospital bed. "Is Sui Sui better? How about it? Are you still uncomfortable?" Chi Sui Sui looked at Chi Yuanyuan in the corner and said, "Will sister blame me?" Chi Sui Sui's remarks aroused her mother's heartache. "It is natural for her to provide you with blood. Who told you to be your own sisters? Teacher Li, are you right?" Her mother suddenly looked at me, as if she wanted to hear the answer she wanted from me. Although I am not easy to participate in their family affairs, it does not mean that I agree with her approach. I suppressed the anger in my heart and replied to Chi's mother, "You feel sorry for Chi Sui Sui, I understand, but do you think this is fair to Chi Yuanyuan? She is an individual, not a blood supply machine. And the college entrance examination is about to be taken, so you don't have to worry about the impact of doing this. Does she take the college entrance examination?" Without hearing the answer she wanted from me, her face changed instantly and she began to reveal her true colors. "Teacher Li, you are right. Let's arrange for her to drop out of school and concentrate on treating his sister at home." My face was full of question marks, and I couldn't believe it was something that came out of a mother's mouth. "Mom Chi, what do you mean? The college entrance examination is about to be taken, and she actually dropped out of school? Are you going to ruin her future for the rest of her life? Is her future more important than her sister's life? If her sister hadn't been sick back then will we give birth to her? Her existence itself exists for her sister." After saying that, she was about to call the school and talk about her withdrawal. At this time, all the time in the corner, Chi Yuanyuan spoke, "You retreat. If you retreat, I will jump from the rooftop. If I die, you will lose a mobile blood bank. Then you will be waiting for you. My baby daughter died of ischemia." When her mother heard her talk, she immediately scolded her, "Okay, how dare you threaten me with suicide? When you were born, I should have strangled you to death." Chi Yuanyuan sneered, "How could you bear to strangle me to death? Didn't you give birth to me just for your baby daughter? If you have the ability, go and drop out of school now. As long as you withdraw, I will die immediately." This sentence made her mother very angry. Her mother covered her chest and kept scolding her unfilial daughter. Seeing that it was not reasonable, I pulled Chi Yuanyuan out of the ward. In the hospital corridor, Chi Yuanyuan's eyes were dim and she said to me, "Teacher Li, thank you for your help." I shook my head and said, "No need to thank you, this is what the teacher should do." "Teacher Li, do you also think that I am vicious and refuse to save my sister when I see you?" I touched her head and comforted her, "No, your life is yours. Although your parents have given you life, you have the right to determine your life, and your sister's suffering is not caused by you. Yes, why do you have to bear the consequences?" Chi Yuanyuan hugged me, "Thank you, Teacher Li." After she finished crying, she suddenly looked at me with a hint of embarrassment and said, "Teacher Li, can you lend me some money? When I finish the college entrance examination, I will go to work in the summer vacation, and I will definitely return the money to you." Just now when she was drawing blood, I made a decision that she would have a better life in the future and should not be trapped in the hospital to serve as a blood bank for life. I nodded, took out my cell phone and transferred 3,000 yuan for her, and said to her, "You should live in the teacher's house first during this period. The place you live in is a dangerous house that is about to be demolished, which is not safe." Chi Yuanyuan shook her head, "Teacher Li, I am very grateful to you for being able to lend me money, so I won't bother you." I knew she was thin-skinned, and smiled, and then said to her, "What if the place where you live now collapses? If something happens to you, how can you take the college entrance examination?" Chi Yuanyuan hesitated and finally agreed. He kept talking at the bottom. "Thanks. Although I'm not sure whether he will become the second Tang Ningning, I just want these children with dreams to see a bigger world through their own efforts." When I said Chow Chow, Chow Chow arrived. When I left the hospital, I saw Tang Ningning at the corner of the second floor. The place where he lined up was obstetrics and gynecology. I remember that it was at this time in my previous life, and he was diagnosed with pregnancy. In order not to affect the college entrance examination, he went to a small clinic alone, and suffered heavy bleeding and his condition was serious. I can only tell his parents. Unexpectedly, he held a grudge against me for so many years because of my inquiries. In this life, as he wishes, I just treat it completely as an uninformed bystander. In the past 2 months, Chi Yuanyuan moved into my house. I have to say that he is very smart and diligent child. Not only does he study hard, but he will also help me clean the house in his spare time. I told him not to be so polite. He always smiled and nodded, and then worked harder to sort out the house neatly. In terms of study, I also gave him as much tutoring as possible. He had delayed too much study for his sister before, so his grades were always low. Soon, the monthly simulation exam came, and Chi Yuanyuan made great progress, from more than 200 in the previous year to more than 100 in the past. To celebrate, I made a lot of dishes he loved. Of course, not just to celebrate, but to make him eat more. He is indeed too thin. However, Tang Ningning fell from the top 20 in the school. The school leaders attach great importance to this because the good seedlings of Tsinghua and Peking University that his school values the most. Tang Ningning's regression this time asked the school leaders to investigate the reasons and found out that he was in love. As his class teacher, I was scolded by the school leaders for this. Finally, the school punished him. He reported criticism, asked him to write a review letter, and think about his mistakes in front of all the students in the school. So, after Monday's flag-raising ceremony, he stood on the stage with a blank review. He held the microphone and spoke boldly, "I don't regret being with the person I like. Youth is a non-stop encounter and farewell. I promise all the teachers and students of the school that I, Tang Ningning, will definitely be admitted to Tsinghua University and Peking University. This year's college entrance examination, the top scorer is me." After saying that, there was a burst of intense applause from the audience. Everyone was excited by his speech, and many people agreed. This is the beautiful appearance of youth. And I just looked at him silently. I guess he had already memorized the answers to the college entrance examination in his previous life, otherwise he would not have said such words arrogantly. Because of this mock exam is not taken seriously at all. Finally, we went to the principal's office to have tea together. The principal slapped the table angrily, "Nonsense. Tang Ningning, there is only half a year left before the college entrance examination. How can you fall in love? You must be responsible for your own life." The principal looked at me again. "Teacher Li, you are his class teacher, please persuade him quickly." Before I could speak, Tang Ningning spoke first, "So you don't have to worry about the college entrance examination. I just said that I will definitely pass the Tsinghua University." The principal glanced at me. "What do Teacher Li thinks?" I spread my hands and said, "Principal, what can I think?" Student Tang also said that the top scorer in the college entrance examination must be him. Since Student Tang is so confident, we can just wait and see. The principal was a little hesitant, but thought that Tang Ningning had the first place in the school in the previous exams, so he didn't say anything in the end. Since Tang Ningning boasted about Haikao in front of the whole school, she has become increasingly unscrupulous. Relying on his memories of his previous life, he didn't do well in classes every day, so he went out to mess with Chen Qi. He even rented a house outside the school with Chen Qi. The two of them didn't care about the rumors spreading in the school and started living together. In his previous life, he and Chen Qi were separated like this, so this time he was unwilling to give up and chose to make up for the regrets of the previous life. Anyway, he remembers all the answers to the college entrance examination, and even the school's English competition. He gave up the quota. He thought he could rest assured if he remembered all the answers to the college entrance examination. The principal didn't want him to give up this opportunity, so he asked me to persuade him again. So on the way off work, I accidentally saw Chen Qi and his group, and several of them were at the barbecue stall next to me. Chen Qi hugged another woman in his arms, and his hands were stumbled into the woman's clothes from time to time. The group of friends around him also asked him jokingly, "Cousin, are you really interested in that student girl?" Chen Qi sneered, just play. I just ignore me at the beginning, but I am not my plaything now. I like to pull this kind of high-altitude flower off the altar. The person next to him said flatteringly, "My cousin is still charming. I think Tang Ningning is just playing hard to get." She pretended to be ignoring her, but in fact she had already loved her so much that she had already come to love her. Chen Qi showed a proud expression. I said I wanted him to get out, but he also traumatized me and threatened me. I really think I like him. It's just to see how beautiful he is. More and more unsightly words came into my ears, and I shook my head and pretended not to hear it. I wonder if Tang Ningning would regret his choice if she heard these words. After arriving at home, Chi Yuanyuan had already heated up the food. "Teacher Li, you are back. the food is in the pot. I smiled at him and then handed him the information about the English competition. Do you want to try it? After reading it, he looked surprised and then became discouraged. Teacher Lee, am I really okay? How can I know if I don't try it? The first place has a bonus of 20,000 yuan. As soon as he heard that there was a bonus, Qi Yuanyuan's eyes lit up instantly. Thank you, Teacher Lee, then I will sign up and give it a try. I will definitely work hard. On the day of the English competition, two major events happened to the school. One was that Qi Yuanyuan won the third place in the English competition and received a prize of 10,000 yuan. The other was Tang Ningning has a miscarriage and is now in the ICU for rescue. I remember the last time it was also at this time. He went to a small clinic for abortion and eventually suffered heavy bleeding and was sent to a large hospital. And this time, he was beaten to the point of a miscarriage by Qin Shi. It seems that he really loves Qin Shi. If it weren't for the miscarriage, I would have suspected that he would have given birth to the child. After his parents found out, they called the police as soon as possible, just like in their previous life. When I came to the police station, Tang Ningning's parents were arguing with Qin Shi. Tang's mother was angry and rushed up to slap Qin Shi in the face. 5 finger marks appeared on Qin Shi's face instantly. His first reaction was to fight back. Damn Baba, you dare to hit me. Seeing that he was about to take action, the police rushed up and pressed him. Why do you hold me? This dead goblin started to fight first. Mother Tang sneered and stared at him. Why? Just beating my daughter with you. Do you know that you ruined my daughter's bright future? He is about to take the college entrance examination. How much effort has it taken for us to train him? You are actually let her life give up studying at the most important time, fall in love with someone like you, and make her pregnant. What's even more excessive is that you actually beat her up, causing her to have an abortion. Is there anything wrong with me hitting you? Unexpectedly, Qin Shi laughed when he heard him. I beat her? I'm completely clear. It was your baby daughter who knelt down and begged me to be with me. I asked your daughter to have an abortion, but she refused, and said that she wanted to give birth to the crystallization of our love. She didn't want to have an abortion, so I'll help her. When Dad Tang heard this, he almost fainted. He picked up the fruit knife on the table next to him and rushed forward, wanting to avenge his daughter. Fortunately, the police stopped him in the end, and Dad Tang did not stab Qin Shi. Finally, Tang's father sued Qin Shi in court, just like in his previous life. In court, Qin Shi was sentenced to 15 years in prison for luring a minor and intentionally assaulting him. At the critical moment, Tang Ningning rushed in and shouted loudly, "True love is innocent." He said that Qin Shi did not hit him, and the child was accidentally lost. The two of them were just the fun between the young couple. These words completely stunned Mr. Tang, and his mother slapped him directly. Tang's mother probably didn't expect that her usually obedient and sensible daughter would slander him for a gangster. She was so angry that she trembled all over and couldn't stand steadily. Mom, all this really has nothing to do with Qin Shi. I was voluntarily. I love him. Tang's father also rushed forward and slapped him. You are confused. The college entrance examination is coming soon. If you do such an ugly thing, will you destroy your future? Tang Ningning still helped Qin Shi. Judge, Qin Shi didn't hit me. He was very nice to me. I voluntarily. In the end, Tang Ningning signed a letter of understanding and Qin Shi was acquitted. The moment he uncuffed his handcuffs, he looked at Tang's father and mother with a smug look on his face, and Tang Ningning ran up and hugged him. Qin Shi, you're fine, it's great. I won't let it go again this time, open your hand. Tang's father and mother looked at Tang Ningning's appearance and almost fainted, looking like they were so angry that they felt as if they were disappointed. After the court hearing, Tang Ningning knelt in front of her parents. My parents are sorry, I really love him. Tang mother said in tears, we spent so much time and money to cultivate you, Dad. I know that you are going to die for a gangster, Dad, I know. I promise you here that I will definitely be admitted to Tsinghua University. I only ask for don't stop me from being with Qin Shi. In the end, Tang's father and mother could only sigh repeatedly, as if they had suddenly become 10 years older. I stood beside me, never saying a word. Isn't this the ending that Tang Ningning dreamed of in her previous life? Just don't regret it. Tang Ningning's affairs were in a hot spot at school. It is said that after he went back, his parents still refused to let him be with Qin Shi, so he began to go on a hunger strike and threatened his parents. In the end, Tang's father and mother couldn't bear to watch him hurt himself with a knife, but agreed to his affairs with Qin Shi, but made a request. They were not allowed to meet Qin Shi before the college entrance examination, unless they successfully entered Tsinghua University. Tang Ningning was very confident about this and agreed without thinking. Time flies very quickly, and the countdown on the wall instantly arrives at the third to last day. In the classroom of the senior high school students, middle school students buried their heads in the sea of books. The mountains of books and materials piled up on the desks were dazzling. The air was filled with a strong sense of tension, as if it could make people feel the second hand that was counting down the college entrance examination was rotating rapidly. The night before the college entrance examination, I told Chi Yuanyuan not to think about anything, to have a sleep early, and to take the college entrance examination in the best state. But the accident still came. Chi Yuanyuan's condition suddenly worsened, and her mother called dozens of times. In order not to affect her college entrance examination, I turned off her cell phone. Her mother still brought someone to come over. The sound of pounding the door made people panic. Her mother's screams and scolding kept coming from the door. Chi Yuanyuan, don't think I don't know you are inside, come out quickly. I didn't go to open the door, but called the police directly. After she brought someone to open my door, the police also happened to come. The first time she came in was looking for Chi Yuanyuan's figure everywhere in my house. Where is Chi Yuanyuan? Where did you hide her? Mom Chi, you are breaking into a private house. Comrade police, she led someone to smash my door. What should I do? The police handcuffed her directly. Hello, ma'am, you've gone privately to a private house and go with us. As soon as she saw the police, she pretended, why should you arrest me? I hid my daughter, and it was her who should be caught. I looked at the police helplessly. Comrade police, just search for it casually, my daughter is not here. You fart. I took someone to check it out. Chi Yuanyuan has been living here with you during this period. After searching for a while, the police advised her to leave, but there was no Chi Yuanyuan here. As a result, she lay on the ground and rolled around. This is a heartless person. If something happens to her sister, I will not live anymore. Her crying became louder and louder, attracting many neighbors to come and watch the fun. In the end, the police had no choice but to understand the cause and effect of the matter, and hurriedly contacted the hospital. He fell from the blood bank and got to know Chi Yuanyuan. But my mother stopped her and said that the blood was not clean and there was a virus on the clean face. Only Chi Yuanyuan's blood was useful, so she would not let the hospital use other blood. I feel that she is sick. Nowadays, medicine is so developed. Even the precious RH panda blood is sufficient in the hospital. She would rather sacrifice her daughter. Finally, in order to save Chi Sui's life, the hospital used other blood and did not produce a rejection reaction, and Chi Sui also returned to normal. When she heard the doctor say that as long as the blood type is the same, the blood of other people can be used, her mother's face turned pale. I don't know if she will begin to regret her futile ideas, which will cause her daughter torture for more than 10 years. But I know that after the college entrance examination, Chi Yuanyuan is no longer her sister's blood bank, and she will start her own new life. On the day of the college entrance examination, I invigilated the Chinese test paper in the examination room. The moment I opened the seal, I saw that the composition topic was completely different from the previous life's topic. I was stunned for a moment, then I smiled. You deserve it when Tang Ningning has come to this point. The 3-day college entrance examination is fleeting. The moment he walked out of the examination room, Chi Yuanyuan was waiting for me at the door, and he smiled and called me, Teacher Li. This is the first time I have seen him so happy, and it is a smile from the bottom of my heart. I gave him a hug and asked him, your hug should be okay, right? I'll do my best. I saw Tang Ningning, and he walked out of the examination room in a daze, yelling constantly, impossible, I can't see me. At that moment, Tang Ningning finally collapsed. He rushed up like crazy and asked me, Teacher Li, why? Why are the questions completely different? I watched him go crazy calmly, as the pride in his eyes shattered little by little, as he collapsed little by little, and then I asked him, are you happy? Tang Ningning looked at me in confusion, his expression full of confusion. I asked him again, are you happy to choose to pursue love? Tang Ningning finally reacted, are you back from birth? Do you regret it? I didn't expect you to hold a grudge against me for so many years, so I will fulfill your wishes this time. Tang Ningning stopped pretending, repent? I regret not killing you earlier in my previous life. If you hadn't informed me, Qin Shi and I would have been together in the previous life. Then, Tang Ningning seemed to have thought of something, grabbed my shoulder and asked me the college entrance examination questions. You have known it long ago, right? I just didn't tell me on purpose, waiting to see me laugh, right? I was not surprised that Tang Ningning said this. As before, once the result is not what he wants, it is my responsibility. Even if I don't interfere with him this time, he will blame everything on me. In fact, the college entrance examination questions have not changed. Many types of questions are similar, but he is too confident and only has the same answer in his mind. Since he was reborn, He thought that everything was safe and he had never listened to classes or did questions. He was not innocent of his current fate. The current situation is his own choice. If you take your time, you will find that all the types of questions are similar, but you are too obsessed with that answer. After listening to my words, Tang Ningning was struck by lightning, standing there looking at me without saying a word. I don't know if I am thinking that the glory of my previous life will eventually become a bubble, or how to face my parents. Those bold promises became a joke. I looked at him and shook my head, holding Qi Yuanyuan beside me and left. Soon it was the day when the score was released. Qi Yuanyuan got 680 points. Although she could not reach the score line of Tsinghua and Peking University, she could still go to a very good 985 university. But Tang Ningning is only enough to go to one junior college. After seeing the results, Qi Yuanyuan hugged me and burst into tears with excitement. Teacher Li, I did it. I really did it. Thank you. Teacher Li, I really thank you. I touched her head. Silly boy, what do you thank for? This is what you got through your own efforts. Then Qi Yuanyuan took out a box with neat 20,000 yuan in it. Teacher Li, this is the prize money for the English competition, and the 10,000 yuan I earned during the summer work. I will give it to you. Thank you for this. After taking care of me for a while, without you, I would not have achieved this today. Qi Yuanyuan said as she handed the money into my arms. I put the money back into her hand. Silly girl, the teacher doesn't need your money. You can keep this money for college. There are many places to use for college. If it is not enough, please borrow it from the teacher. Qi Yuanyuan still insisted on asking me to accept the money. Finally, seeing that I really refused to accept it, she knelt down to me. Teacher Li, thank you very much. If I had no help from you, I might not be able to take the college entrance examination. Thank you for making up for my regret. You must accept this money. If you don't accept it, I won't get it up. In the end, there was no way. I accepted the money. At her school entrance examination banquet, I converted the money into a red envelope and returned it to her. That day, Qi Yuanyuan's mother came, but I couldn't see the joy from the bottom of their hearts in their eyes. Qi Sui was held by her mother, and she couldn't even hide her unwillingness in her eyes, but she still spoke politely. Sister, congratulations, I didn't expect you to be so good at the exam. The emotions in her mother's eyes are also indescribable, with selfishness and guilt. Yuanyuan, it was wrong for my mother before. Mom will say sorry to you first. Then she took out a red envelope and handed it to Qi Yuanyuan, pulling her aside. Yuanyuan, can you give this quota to your sister? You know, your sister got seriously ill since she was a child, and her biggest wish was to go to college. Don't worry, Mom will give you some money and find a good family to marry you. I didn't expect her to say such shameless words. Just as I was about to persuade her, Qi Yuanyuan drove her mother and sister out. Why did I have to follow my sister's wishes since I was a child? What I gave to my sister's things I gave to my sister. Why did I have to follow my sister's wishes since I was a child? Not enough? You only care about your sister's wish is to go to college. Have you ever cared about me? Why should I get into a university through my own efforts? Get out of here. After saying that, the door was closed heavily. Only the door was cursing. You have no conscience. This is your real sister. I gave her a thumbs up. She finally learned to fight back against those unfair treatment. Time flies very quickly. It was 6 years later when I met Qi Yuanyuan again. After graduating from university, Qi Yuanyuan became a well-known female entrepreneur. After she returned to China, the first thing she did was to donate 2 buildings to the school. As an outstanding representative, she stood on the stage and spoke. Thanks to my alma mater for giving me the opportunity to study and my teachers for giving me the education. I can't live without your careful cultivation today. Of course, the person I want to thank the most is Teacher Li from Class 1, Grade 3. Thank you for your help and education to me, and thank you for accompanying me through year after year. Finally, I hope my alma mater will get better and better. After the words were finished, there was a burst of intense applause from the audience. And I was also rated as an excellent teacher. My student Qi Yuanyuan personally brought me the token of an excellent teacher to me and ended the ceremony. Afterwards, Qi Yuanyuan held my hand and acted coquettishly. Teacher Li, I miss you so much in the past 2 years abroad. She also said that there was a fried skewers stall at the school gate and we went to try it. I burst out laughing. Do you miss me or the snacks at the entrance of the school? Qi Yuanyuan smiled and held my arm and acted coquettishly. Of course I miss you. When I arrived at the skewer stall, a familiar figure of a girl attracted my attention. Welcome, what to eat? I looked up and met Tang Ningning's gaze. After 6 years, she looked like she was 10 years older, wearing a greasy apron, busy at the frying stall. The moment she saw me, she was suddenly stunned. "Teacher Lee." I smiled relievedly and ordered some fried skewers. During this period, I looked at the wounds burned by the oil on her hand and asked her, "How are you doing recently?" Tang Ningning looked up in surprise and smiled bitterly. Then, Tang Ningning talked to me about her experience over the years. She only took one junior college entrance examination back then, which became a joke. Her parents were completely embarrassed. Later, her parents asked her to repeat the school, but she found out that she was pregnant again. The doctor said that the last miscarriage hurt the body and could not have miscarriage, otherwise he would never be able to get pregnant again. But in her future and love, she still chose love and chose to give birth to this child. But during her pregnancy, Qin Shi frequently cheated and abused her, and if she was a little unhappy, she would beat and scold her. Finally, after getting drunk again, Qin Shi beat her to abortion again. When her father found out, he was angry and wanted to settle the score with Qin Shi, but Qin Shi pushed him down the stairs and fell into a vegetable. After her mother found out, she couldn't stand the blow and died of a heart attack. Although Qin Shi was imprisoned, her family was destroyed. Her father hasn't woken up yet, and the expensive medical expenses have made her breathless, so she is busy with frying skewers during the day and has to deliver takeaway at night. After hearing all this, I couldn't help but feel a little sigh in my heart, but I could only feel sigh. Isn't this her own choice? Before leaving, Tang Ningning called me. Tears had already blurred her eyes. "Teacher Lee, I'm sorry, I only know now that I was wrong. How outrageous it is. I'm sorry, I'm 6 years late." But I don't need her apology anymore, and she received the punishment she deserves. When I opened my eyes again, what caught my eye was the smell of the cold tiles and disinfectant water in the hospital. As the needle pierced into the blood vessel, I came to my senses and was reborn. My mother's familiar voice came from my ears. "Yuan Yuan, don't be afraid, just draw a little blood." Yuan Yuan is a great hero to protect her sister. My mother has been muttering this sentence since I can remember it, always muttering me. I am 18 and my sister is 7 years old. She has hemophilia since birth and has severe coagulation dysfunction and requires regular blood transfusions. But she is also precious panda blood. In that era of underdeveloped medicine, this precious blood was basically not found in the hospital blood bank. In order to treat my sister's illness, my parents decided to have another child, so I was born with a mission and became my sister's blood bank. Then my nightmare came. Since I was a child, the most I have heard is that I want to protect my sister. In the early years, my sister's physical condition was okay, and she had blood transfusions at most once every 6 months. But when I was 15, her condition suddenly worsened, starting once every 6 months, to the next 3 months, and then to the next few days. My body gradually couldn't bear it anymore. I didn't want to be my sister's blood bank anymore, but I was insulted by my parents. They locked me up at home, refused to go to school, and forced me to have blood transfusions. Later, I begged my parents to let me go to school, and I wanted to take the college entrance examination, but they agreed. But 2 days before the college entrance examination, my sister's condition worsened again, so my mother forced me to take me to the hospital and took 400 milliliters of blood. But I died of anemia on the way to the college entrance examination. I thought I was dead, so they started to love me. My soul was very sad to see my mother crying in the hospital. She cried and called me a short-lived ghost and an unfilial daughter. She cried and said that my sister had no source of blood supply. What should I do in the future? They seem to have never loved me, and in my eyes, my only value is my sister's blood. Maybe God can't stand it anymore, so he gave me a chance to be reborn. Wake up again, and I went back to the college entrance examination. This time, I don't want to repeat the tragedy of the previous life. So I stole the 200 yuan from my family and ran away from home. This time, I want to take the college entrance examination and I want to have my own life. So I rented a very small house. I know this is a dangerous house to be demolished soon. But I have no choice. I don't have money. I have to attend classes during the day. I can only go to work part-time at night. That night, I met the nobleman in my life. Teacher Lee, she is really gentle. This is the first time someone cares about me. She told me not to quarrel with my parents. I could only smile bitterly. Later, my mother ran to school and caused trouble. I was embarrassed and ashamed. My mother left me blank in front of all the teachers and classmates. When I was taken to the hospital for blood tests again, I was numb. Can't I really change the fate of my previous life? But Teacher Lee illuminated me again like a beam of light. She borrowed me money and let me live in her house. She cooks for me every day and nourishes me. She carefully tutored me on my homework every day. With the help of Teacher Lee, I made rapid progress. More than 100 places have been improved in the mock exam. I think I will repay her if I have money in the future. Time flies very quickly. 2 days before the college entrance examination, I was afraid that my mother would be forced to draw blood as in her previous life. So Teacher Lee and I confessed everything. She took me to a hotel near the examination room, telling me not to think about anything and have a good sleep to take the college entrance examination. There is her everything. Later, I really took the college entrance examination smoothly, making up for the regrets I had in my previous life. Finally, my efforts were not in vain. I took the college entrance examination for 680. Although it cannot reach the score line of Tsinghua University and Peking University, it is also enough for me to go to a good university. Teacher Lee was very nice to me, and she also held a school entrance banquet for me. My parents came with my sister, too. I thought they would be happy for me, but my mother said I would give the university quota to my sister. I am no longer surprised by her bias. But this time, I am no longer the cowardly Qi Yuan. I have my own life. After graduating from university, I chose to study abroad with the help of Teacher Lee. Relying on the memories of the previous life, he successfully seized the opportunity and started his own business and became a dark horse in the industry. In just 2 years, my company has grown bigger and bigger, and I have experienced a life I have never experienced in my previous life. After my parents heard that I made money by starting a company, they called me several times and asked me to go home for dinner. My attitude is always cold because I know they never love me and just want to gain benefits from me. After returning to China, I donated 2 buildings to the school and went to see Teacher Lee. Without her, there would be no me today. Finally, I just want to say to Teacher Lee, thank you. I will always be with you in the days to come. The full text is over.